I think the concept of African names are so interesting.
Africans have a powerful and symbolic way of giving names. All our names mean something.
When you're born in royalty, you know the rules of royalty. You know that this name was given to you by the gods of our land.
But you know, one thing that really fascinates me is if you cut across different cultures in Africa, every tribe, they name their children after something, like a prophecy, a story.
Yeah.
Who made that universal decision in sub-Saharan Africa?
In African tradition in general, we believe so much in the power of words.
Yes.
So it's like, if I can speak power and life over you, why not do that with your name? So that every time I call your name, I say a prayer over you.
But sometimes the names don't follow the children. And the parents have tried,
If you want to carry your name, carry it with honor and let it speak something for you. Why should I identify with something that might bring negativity?
But I still have a question though. I mean, yes, granted, this is what we believe in Africa, but is it really, the truth? Because I mean, you see people from other parts of the world that bear simple names like Duster, Parker, Board.
Okay, you know what?
But they still live on and do great things.
Today's episode is something that I'm really, really excited about. It's the origin of names in Africa. Africans have a powerful and symbolic way of giving names. All our names mean something. Even when we translate them from English or from our native tongues to English, they always mean something. Even though, the essence is, of course, watered down when we move it to English, but still, just the power, the history, and the stories behind those names are just so interesting. So it's a very interesting, exciting topic, and I'm just glad that we're finally getting to do it today.
I think the concept of African names are so interesting.
Right.
Because growing up, I heard stories about how, traditions of naming in the Yoruba, land, and how people are named based on different criteria. There are people that are named based on circumstances, people that are named after their families, after their family names, and then alongside, you now have an oriki, right? And alongside an oriki, you have a eulogy. For example, Ashake, and then you now have a eulogy like Omoto Shekini to Shekini to Shekini. And then
What does that mean?
No, that's just a placeholder. So what I just did is just a placeholder, but it's like they can say the child that even when she sleeps we pamper the child, or the child that fought with a lion and won. That's usually for male warriors.
So it's
and
not like
all of
an
that.
oriki.
So that is the eulogy that comes with your oriki.
Okay.
So what
now,
is an oriki?
Oriki is the name itself. Ashake, Akonke, Abeke,
Alani.
Asunke. Alani is a family house name.
Okay.
So there are family house names like Kosoko, Alani, and many others really. And it just shows how diverse our naming systems are. And then there are people that are named according to circumstances, like Omo Abiodun. Abiodun is a child that they gave birth to on a day of celebration.
Wow.
Then there's Omo Abiono. That's a child that they gave birth to while the father was away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're waiting for the dad and you were born. So and then there are many other circumstantial names, and then there are the names that are given based on reincarnation, like maybe when the father died or the grandfather died around the time the child was born. You have Baba Tunde or Ye Tunde. That's mother has come again or father has come again.
More like reincarnation.
Yes, like a reincarnation. People believe that whenever there's
the death of a
there's the death
father
of your,
and
a
male
relative,
child.
and then the birth of a child, there's a possibility that it's that person reborn.
Okay.
I think that's even another topic for another day. We should really look into Akudayas.
Yes, definitely. Reincarnation.
And reincarnation.
Would be an interesting topic to explore.
Talking about the North, I think that we also have that thing where people are giving names based on the circumstances that they are born.
Yeah.
For example, my mom's tribal name, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's something like Chinwe. So her great grandmother gave her that name because it came from a place of, this is what my life has and funny enough, that name has a very, very funny misinterpretation. It means my suffering is here. So now I was wondering why your grandmother would name you her suffering is here. So she was now telling me that she didn't know, but her grandmother was someone that her family thought, nothing can come out from you. So it could be that she named her that, this is my suffering, it has ended, or something like that.
Okay.
Yes. And then from my mom's place, when people are born from royal families, for example, my mom was from a royal family. So when my grandfather gave birth to his first son, the naming is slightly different. The parents cannot name you. So what they do is the day you're born, some of the custodians, they go to the hill because they have a hill in their village called Afan. So that hill is believed that this hill is what preserves the people, is what gives the people abundance, prosperity, and all of that. So now, when you're from royalty and when you're born, those custodians, they know themselves. So they'll go to that hill, they'll sleep there. They know the rituals that they will perform.
Wow.
And then they will perform that ritual till your name appears.
Whoa.
So when your name now appears, they will now come back and say, okay, this is the name that Afan has given you. So if you as the dad, you want to add, that's fine. But before
This
you're
is the
being
child's
named,
actual
this
name.
is your name from our ancestors. So that's how it's been done.
I don't know if
Like,
right. It's beginning to sound like Lion King, Pride Rock, and all of that. So, and some of these stories were actually gotten from the African mythologies and fables and all of. As you just said, there's this rock. My mind, for some strange reason, just said Pride Rock. I think it's Pride Rock.
So I have a question though. Does in your tradition, do the names
My
get to
mom's
change?
tradition.
Your mom's tradition. Do the names get to change as the child gets older? In certain traditions, there's like a rite of passage, right? The name we give you as a child is not the name you bear as an adult.
Yes.
Like maybe as you grow older, there's now you're now going to transition into your adult's name and choose your name for yourself. Does your tradition have that?
No, it doesn't. What happens is that when you're born in royalty, you know the rules of royalty. You know that this name was given to you by the gods of our land. And except for now that we have rebels that will tell you, oh no, I don't believe in
Modernity.
these things. Yes. Then they say, I don't want. But in ancient times, once you're being named like this,
by fan.
you
fan.
hold,
okay,
by
we actually
a fan,
have
you
that
hold your
in
name.
my own culture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's the name, your birth name. When you're a baby, they give you that name. Then when you reach adulthood, there's a special name, your initiation name. And then only your age mates or people older than you can call you that name.
Also, I wanted
Yes.
to add that when you go to the hill, for some instances, maybe this child does not belong to maybe the father that is claimed to be. So Afan is not going to release your name.
Oh, DNA wahala.
Yes, he's not going to release your name. And then
Scandalous.
they now start investigating. Why has this child's name not appeared? And I was asking my mom, what kind of sacrifice do they hold? Is it human beings? Is it chicken? She's like, she doesn't know. Only the custodians know what they go to do there. But if your name does not come back, it means that there's a question mark regarding your birth.
Wahala.
Somebody did something funny.
Somebody-
Wahala.
So it means even the ancient times.
Custodians have beef with your
Exactly.
parents.
We use you to
Because it was
settle
a small
scores.
community.
Exactly.
What if I beef with you? But we'll meet in
we're
front. You
talking
see if I'll
about
give your child
how
name.
systems can be good, but it's human beings that take care of systems. So human beings can,
But what
hold
if
their
these
own personal
custodians were
grudges.
incorruptible and it was purely spiritual?
I doubt it
So
because
except
they're human
if
at
the
the end of the
custodians
day.
were spiritual, but if they were regular human beings, regular human beings, their human emotions, their human
But-
flaws will go into the process.
I agree with you, but according to her, these people were chosen specially.
They were
for this,
chosen.
for
They are
this.
known by
So they are
birth.
selected from
Interesting.
birth.
Yes, by
Maybe
birth,
they were
yes.
somehow connected to the
I don't know
Ifan,
how
the rock.
they knew them, but I knew she said
So
they were.
it's a calling.
Yes, it's a calling.
Interesting.
It's a calling.
So obviously they were probably incorruptible, and I'm sure for these things to work, maybe some people who played hanky hanky-panky somewhere along
I
the line.
personally believe that as long as
we're
you're
discovered.
human, you're not incorruptible. It just depends on, the price. And by price, I don't just mean monetarily. It may just be like we were saying, it could be to settle a score. I'm vexing with you, so I will not hear the gods clearly.
But remember,
Is
these
what-
guys are chosen people.
Is what it doesn't
The
mean.
chosen one who goes to that rock.
Chosen ones
Yes.
to make
Afan.
mistakes.
Afan, and they spent
AFAN.
Afan, and I'm sure they
That's the
spent.
name of the
It even
rock.
sounds like strength.
Yes.
Exactly.
And when you go to
We are
Kaguru,
the
they are surrounded by
custodians.
these hills. You
Yeah.
see the hill. The hill is like their identity, literally.
I see.
Yes.
So
Interesting.
maybe they were connected with the spiritual beings, and therefore maybe the decisions they make were
True.
shown to them by the spirits
I don't know.
that we would not have understanding
Exactly.
to. And according to what you call it, maybe it's their own way of deciphering the DNA scandal back in the day. You bring another child and they go there and it's not connecting, and the custodians will be like, "Come on, there's
There's
something. This
wahala
guy, this guy is not from your lineage, so therefore something is wrong."
problem.
And that's how DNA fraud probably was
Yes.
being settled
I
during
still
that
think
time.
that's so scandalous that if your paternity is in question, you won't get a name. Like, why do I get to suffer for their
The hill
mistakes?
is not going to.
So
name
now
Or
we're
maybe
not
you
gonna
get
have a
basic name. You won't have a spiritual royal name. But like you can pick a story name, like a name that has to do with the situation of your birth. So maybe if you're denied a name, your mother can name you something. He who the gods
Have
discarded,
refused.
something like that. So
Or maybe
like
an origin story.
Or maybe
Right
Ufan,
there.
Ufan didn't see him.
Yes, there's so many,
Unseen
so
by
many
the gods.
interesting stories, names that have stories in
Yeah.
my family. So, for example, my grandmother, before she was giving birth to, her mother had a lot of miscarriages, like 9 miscarriages. So finally, when she
Wow.
was born, she was
She's like a
named
rainbow baby.
yes, Ranza Koni, which means everybody needs a child. So many names like that. There was one of my cousins, his parents were separated and fighting. So when they got back together and had him, they named him Amanta, which is let's forget about it. Yes, another one. When he was born, he was so beautiful. Everybody that came was like, wow. In Hausa, they would be like, wannan yaro abun gani ne, something to look at, something beautiful. So his name, his
I
given
can-
name
Wannan
is
yaro abun gani ne.
Yes,
That's
so
very
his name is
interesting.
Abun Gani, something
in
to
English,
look at.
eye candy.
Yes, exactly.
It's
You
an
know,
eye
in
candy.
Yoruba, that
Yes,
first one
so
you mentioned
literal eye candy.
of the child that stays after
Yes.
several children have died. In Yoruba, we have a version of that. They're called abiye.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which one is Abiku?
Okay, so
Abiku is
Abiye comes after Abiku then.
Yes, abiye comes after abiku.
Interesting.
Abiku are those children that when they're born, they fall sick a lot, or they finally die, or several times they've come to the world and they've died, or miscarriages. And then when you finally give birth to the child that stays,
survives.
they live past a certain age. They are usually called abiye.
Abiye. So this one was born to stay.
This one was born to stay. And for people that have, a lot of stories around their names, they're usually called eniton.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know one
like
is
from
story.
story,
a person
yes.
of story. So that's a person with a great
That's a
history
beautiful,
surrounding their
beautiful
birth.
name.
Yes.
For me, my personal experience, or maybe what I was told, also drives from a circumstance that happened when before I was born. So my tribal name is Oshofayo, which simply means God is more than them. I grew up moving around not knowing what it meant until my mom told me before I was born, I had an elder brother who did not survive. After some months, he now died. I guess when I was birthed, my father now decided to give me God is more than them. Everything has a spiritual connotation in Africa. Something maybe according to him, some people were after him, and me coming to the world, I've defeated them, and therefore my name should speak for me because God is more than them. And thus my English name, because literal translation is God is more than them.
Yeah, God wins. Yeah,
So
God
therefore,
wins.
the man just thought, let me just add
that's
God
so
in there and all
nice.
that. So that's the
Yeah.
story of
Your name.
my name. And for my younger sister, her own name is Omo Kegbe, which means the child is the body. So I think the literal meaning is you are nothing if you don't have a child. So now with the advent of my sister, now that he has a second child, it means his body is complete. So basically,
So
that's
deep,
the
so
story.
profound.
That's the
So
story
sweet. Like-
story behind my name and my sister's name.
For me, so my travel name is Adeola. it's crown of wealth. And like for my parents, they said that when they gave birth to me is when a lot of good things started happening to them. You know, like they got their own house.
Nice.
They started working at where they had always wanted to work. And then when I was born, in Yoruba tradition, when you're born with 6 fingers, it's usually connotes wealth.
Oh, interesting.
Right, so yeah, it was
So
actually
excess wealth.
So it's like excess wealth, just all over the place.
I think I need to roll with you more. So
So you can rub off.
rub off me. I want to be the 7th finger.
So my own name is actually Ruby Nyakuru, and I used to hate my name because it was too long for me. I liked the Ruby part. I felt like, it was cute and very anglicized, easy to pronounce. But just the Ruby is God on its own. But then the whole name, the sentence actually has more depth, more meaning. It's Ruby Nyakuru. It means God is watching over us, or God is with us, or God is our shepherd,
So female version of Emmanuel.
I suppose.
Manuela.
Yeah. So I used to have a problem with it when I was growing up, but now I've leaned into the name, and especially because I felt like, okay, my siblings all had names that were easy to pronounce and unique in their own way, and then mine was just so off. Like my sister's name, Tansie, it means good news. My brother's name, Anuye, it means something true, like true news, and then my own is just Ruby and Kuru, and then the last born Yegosibe, end of discussion. So like I felt like, okay, theirs were in sync, and then mine was just the way it was. But now I've leaned into it, and I see that let me take part of that. God is watching over us, and my steps are guided.
I don't want to sound like a very uncultured child, but as soon as you said end of discussion, my mind just went straight to the car. End of discussion. And is he the last child?
Yes, he is.
And I'm sure maybe your father was like, end of discussion. Nothing. I am not
Nothing
doing.
after this.
I'm not having that conversation again. Let's end it here.
We're done with childbearing
For some strange
right
reason,
now.
I'm thinking of a car called End of Discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not the main child. I'm just,
So,
trying to sound
and it was
like
one
an
of the
average
reasons
kid.
I felt like my name didn't stand out, because all their names had stories. Like Tansie, when the first child was giving birth to, my father was on the phone and he was like, "Is it true?" And that's what the name means. Like, good news. And then the boy Anuye, "Is it true?" And they told him yes. So true news. And then the last born, maybe end of discussion or last
But your
news
name
or
is actually
whatever.
cool.
Yeah, I think your
mine
name
is
is cool. I
cool.
feel like your parents may have had an experience that
I need to
they
ask
got out
them.
of that made them like and it was around the time of your birth that just made them go, God is truly watching over us, because maybe we could have lost this child, or we could have lost maybe our
I
lives or
remember.
something.
Amal, tell us about your
Okay,
ethnic
I can't
name.
believe this, but I didn't think that there was a day that would come and say my tribal name would not traumatize me, instead give me pride. Because when I was growing up, my mom, I learned how to write and pronounce my name from textbooks that my mom would write. Like, she would write my name. And till today, I write my name the way my mom would write it on my books. When we resume school, your new books, she would write it. So I still write my name like that. And then when I was like in school, because the name I started using was like Mbeta, and then these mean children, to be calling me imbecile. It's like,
Sorry, Amal.
I'm like, why are you calling me?
God, kids are so mean.
What's the meaning of the
Okay,
name?
my name is Mbeta. It means someone that is warm and someone that is
We can
kind
see it.
I
and
mean,
accommodating.
You're living up to the name. Don't worry. You're living up to
So
the
I
name.
think that's the whole essence of African, the system of naming children what you want to see in their life. Because I feel it's like you prophesying into their lives. Just by, like she literally is an example of her name.
Yeah.
She's kind, she's warm,
God
she's
wins in my life, because trust me, I've been to a whole lot.
Wow.
No, but I want to borrow a leaf from the name callings, and children can always be mean. Like
Very
for me,
Yeah.
my name Oshofayo was the name I was given from day one before Godwin later came into the picture.
Yeah.
Children will call me, my classmates will call me Osho, Shosho, and in Yoruba, Osho is rain. Fire is like get joy. So they'll be like rain, get joy. It doesn't make any sense to them. So before they started calling me rain, fire, and all of that. But I used to go back home and tell my mom that, and my mom would tell me, this is your name, it's your identity. It means God wins in your life every single day. So go back there and let them know that my name is Godwin. My name is Osho Fire. It means God wins in my life.
Wow.
And that was how I was able to, beat all of that.
Yeah.
Some started calling
cool.
me Godwin until we adopted the name Godwin. And, children will be children.
Yes.
Show, so,
I
fire,
really
and all
feel
of
like
that.
kids these days really need to hear this, because even I, as a kid, the reason why I stopped using my Yoruba name all the time was I was just tired of people murdering the pronunciation. You'd hear so many variations, Adeola, or like just so many wrong pronunciations. I was just like, you know what, just call me Sarah.
But one thing that really fascinates me is if you cut across different cultures in Africa, every tribe, they name their children after something like a prophecy, a story.
Yeah.
Who made that universal decision in sub-Saharan Africa? Because if you go to the Zulus, if you go to the
same.
Chwis, if you go to maybe people in Ethiopia, it's the same thing. How come that the black race decides to do something of that nature?
I think they just believed so much in spoken word. They believed so much in blessings. They believed that, if I name this child Success, he will be successful. So I think it was our belief.
Yeah, I think I have something to add to that, in the sense that in African history, it's the reason why a lot of our history is more spoken than written. We believe in the power of words. We believe in speaking over people.
Yes.
Even till today, in my big age, like my parents, whenever I call them, if they're just waking up in the morning, when I still live with my parents, the first thing that comes out of their mouth in the morning, they believe it should be prayers over you. That's always the first thing that comes out of their mouth. So in African tradition in general, we believe so much in the power of words.
Yes.
So it's like, if I can speak power and life over you, why not do that with your name? So that every time I call your name, I say a prayer over you.
More like professing some blessings on you.
So the parents have tried, but sometimes the children, the names don't follow the children. And the parents have tried, they'll be like, your name
Just
is
like-
Success, your name is Favor, your name is Dominion. Now it's left to you. And some people don't go forward and become successful.
True.
It's not the parents' fault now.
I mean, that
Like
one
you
is
see-
that
you
one
see
is
an
still, it's still
unsuccessful
perspective.
success.
Yes.
An unmerciful mercy.
I think it's the ones that have to do with character that are
A
still more
warrior
painful.
piece. Like you
Maybe
see
when the
someone
person
peace.
when the
When
person's
it's
name means
patience.
kindness or patience, and they're just going in the very opposite direction of that
Honestly.
name.
Another thing I wanted to add concerning how we don't know the value of names is that even when I wanted to switch my name, because people were calling me Imbesite a lot, so I wanted to switch it. I'm like, okay, call me Amal. Do you know that these children are calling me Amala?
Oh my God.
Oh no.
From fire pan to fire to
Fire.
Honestly, they were calling me Amala. And I reported. They would do it when the teachers are
And because you were kind, you were warm and accommodating, you could not even fight your bullies. I can imagine.
And for our international audience, Amala is the black version of Fufu.
Yeah.
The soft one that usually goes
Amal
with
went through
Begiri
it.
I
and
went
Ewedu.
through it because of my name. And it's just now that I think the world is trying, because now if I tell people my name, they're like, oh, I love your name. I love this. I love that. And I'm like, oh, but when I was growing
Yeah.
up, these people bullied me.
I think it's two things, because one, kids will always be kids. Two
True.
is the fact that a lot of people are embracing their African origins a lot more. There's even a thing right now that a lot of Africans who are in diaspora, who grew up with English names, a lot of them are coming home to do like a brand new
Yes.
naming ceremony for themselves and giving themselves African names. Based on where, they've done research that they are from. A lot of people are coming back home and reclaiming their tribal and African names.
I know someone who used to be a Linda.
Yeah.
She switched from Linda to another name, and I asked her why. She said because she found that the meaning of Linda, serpent, and she wouldn't want to be
I
a
know
serpent.
someone
I have
like
so many
that.
stories about this, my
I-
other
yeah.
name. Like
I know someone like that too.
Yeah.
And so she switched to her tribal name.
So she switched to a tribal. So I think so many people now believe that if you want to carry your name, carry it with honor and let it speak something for you. It should be like, making the way for you. Why will I be called? Why should I identify with something that might bring negativity? Like, for example, Russell means to make a noise. So it means you'll be going around the world sojourning as a noisemaker. So people want to confess positivity, and that's why they are now embracing local names that carry meaning, that carries prosperity, that speaks volumes into their lives. And I think that's the reason why.
But I still have a question though. I mean, yes, granted, this is what we believe in Africa, but is it really, the truth? Because I mean, you see people from other parts of the world that bear simple names like Duster, Parker, Board.
Okay, you know what?
But they still live on and do great things.
You have a point. And I think even this point you just raised ties into another African culture. Like the concept of surnames are very alien, very new to Africa. So, for example, in Hausa culture, you would name a person, like if you want to differentiate this Musa from the next Musa, it's their occupation or their family life. You describe them. Maybe you say Musa me doya, Musa me nama, Musa me kifi, Musa me why. What does the person do? Who
What's
are
their
they? Are they a
family known
writer,
for?
a potter? So it's the same way with European names like Duster or Mason, a builder. Things like that.
Okay, I never looked at it like
Yes.
that. I never looked
And
at
also
it like
in
that.
Southern Kaduna, we have very funny names there. There are people that are named Binta Angulu.
Anglo
Some
actually
people-
means vulture.
There are some. There's this my father's classmate. They school together in Dara. So yesterday I was just asking him, and he was like, "Oh, he has a classmate, Akwati Mutua. His name is Akwati. His father's name is Mutua.
What does that mean?
Akwati is box. Mutua is death.
It's really interesting you brought this up.
Dead
Just
box?
yesterday, I saw a post and I put it on my Instagram story. Now, this is what the post read.
This should
If
be
you
fun.
if you complain about just men because of the way they treat their girlfriends and all of that, you've not met Kaduna men. Now, what do you expect from somebody named John Bindiga?
Where you?
Now, for those who don't understand what Bindiga is a gun.
Yeah.
Now you're dating with somebody called John Bindiga, and he he shot you down. What do you expect?
And even in Plateau, there's this name, but the direct meaning is frog. It's a Birom name. And the funniest thing now is that we have a lot of bots in Plateau State. We have a lot of frogs, practically.
No,
direct transformation.
So yes, that's actually from their worldview.
Yes.
So if you look at their pre-Christian worldview,
They
were
named these on
animists.
yes.
They were animists, and those names were representations of the, let's say, the energy of that animal. So, for example, Leop or Dung or other names, they all mean, let's say, antelope or whatever, but maybe
The
the antelope,
strength
the strength of the antelope or the beauty of that. So it's not the frog or the antelope
Or
itself.
maybe you know what they say.
It's
If
the
you want
energy
to,
around the
or
animal,
maybe you know what they
or what
say.
it's known for.
You know what they say when they say if you want to catch a frog, make sure you catch a frog with lots of eggs. So maybe that's the spirit
Yes,
behind
maybe
it.
boss
yes.
was an
it
oily.
or something
Eggy.
eggy
I
kind
know
of.
that
Eggy
people
frog.
from Jos have like the most interesting names.
Yes, they do.
Pangshak, Plangnang. Like, please, I
Kimpe.
want to know more about those kind of names.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a
don't
plenty
have,
people on the panel
yes.
today.
But one thing I also found out is that these Kaduna names, I read somewhere that the reason why it sounds funny to us is because the direct translation in Hausa is actually vulture, like Angulu means vulture. But now these people, they gave the names based on probably the situation of what happened. And then I also found out that when we started writing Hausa dictionary and the rest, some of these words were not Hausa words. They're actually ancient Kaduna words. But because the Hausas lived with them, some of these words, they will not catch it. Oh, this thing now is vulture.
Okay.
But deep, it doesn't mean vulture.
Maybe no equivalent in the other language, so they just take the
they'll just
nearest.
take it. So it
see.
was just what we heard. We just direct. You know the way we have Inakwana in Hausa, and then
Yes.
in English we're like, oh, I'm looking for
Because-
looking for money.
No,
or so-
where is money?
Where is
Where is
money?
money?
Yes,
Where is money?
So something like that, and that's why, for example, there's Binta Roa. If you hear it now, like, why is she named Water? But what that means is that probably she's she was born by the river, and then her life was meant to be watered. It will never go dry. Something like that. So I also heard that some of these names is because the people that have the direct interpretation to them, they are no more. That's why we just pick Hausa. Why is your name Bindiga?
But I'm still trying to understand why they named John Bindiga.
Honestly.
Maybe his father
Maybe
was
his
a
father used to
warrior,
make guns.
or they
Maybe he was a
wanted him
hunter.
to be a warrior too.
True.
Or maybe his father used to make guns.
Yeah, or the gun just signifies strength and
And you know,
valor.
yes, like also in the north, you find out that a lot of people I have this reverend father. His name was Taylor. So Taylor is like Taylor, you know. So his actual surname, but probably his father was like a tailor, and then
Their family were they
I
were
think
known
that this
for
also buttresses the
tailoring.
point where she
Yes,
said
about
some
Mason.
people are people are named
Yes.
after maybe their profession or their skill that they had at that time.
true.
And that's why I think, you find names like Taylor and so on and so forth.
And I think sometimes when we directly translate these names from our native tongues, some of the meanings are lost in translation. Like the example you gave with the Rua, they are full sentences. But when you just translate them to English, you just take one word instead of saying the whole sentence. Yeah, so a lot of times meanings are lost in translation and people just choose something that's
Pick the popular part.
Yes, and then
That's easy on the tongue.
earlier we said that surnames are very alien to African cultures, and a lot of Africans instead opt for clan names. And I think clan names are better because they help you trace your lineage. Even when you're lost or you've been away from your people for hundreds of generations, once you call your surname, which is actually your clan name, your cousins and extended family back home will be like, this is our own. So, for example, Doja Cat, the American rapper, born and raised in America, but her father is South African, and the surname is Dlamini. So once South Africans saw her surname was Dlamini, they instantly knew she was from the Dlamini clan, and that's a royal clan and all of that. So you can trace your lineage easy. She doesn't even have to meet the father. She can just book a ride to South Africa and be like, where are the Dlaminis? I'm here, I'm one of you. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even Bonga is not on the podcast today, but we're asking him the other day and he was like, Bonga is actually a clan name, not his father's name. I think that's interesting. It's a way to, bring
Identify
unity.
your people.
Yes, and all of that.
Like a marker, so to speak.
Yes. Talking about clan name, because my grandfather was the first man to discover the village that we claim is our village. So yesterday I was joking with my dad. I'm like, I'm just going to add Megoro to my name and go. I'll say all these lands are my own. I'm going to become village head. Because our village name is actually Angwan Megoro. So once I say I'm going to add Megoro and then go and claim all the lands that are there.
There's something interesting too in Yoruba tradition. It's usually also around what you do. So there's Anyo Galu, right? Those are people that are from the family that beat drums, the talking drum. Yeah. Then there are and then also the clan names around the gods that are worshipped around that time, right? So if you worship Ogun, you see Ogun Yemi, Ogun Fumi, Ogun Shakin, or Ifa, what are the names? Ifa Dayo, So it's now with modern times where a lot of people don't want to be associated with the old gods, So you see some people just remove the Ogun from the front of their name or Ifa from the front of their name, and then they just keep the other parts.
Look, I know somebody who changed his name from Iroja to something else. Now, Iroja is the cloth you wear for war. And it was
Iroja.
like, before then, he said his life was always like a turmoil. He was always having issues with people, so he dropped that name. So how can he be moving around town with, the cloth of war?
Yeah.
And that's why he's always fighting with people, having issues, so he dropped that. And he picked up something, I don't know if that's working for him so
It
far.
boils down to name following
better
us.
or something.
Yeah. I mean, see, that's it. There's a saying that whatever you believe will work for you.
True.
So if we believe so much in the power of words and you're named after something, best believe that you're going to live up to either that name or the opposite of that name.
Right.
Depending on how you channel that energy. So Iroja, since he believed in that name, it made sense that since I believe in this name, I believe that I can change the circumstances surrounding this name. So instead, today I no longer bear Iroja because I do not want to carry on the cloth of war around with me.
Yeah.
And then he gives himself something more calming. And then that name just follows him because that's what he believes.
Yeah, Mr. G, I think you were talking about how in Ghana they have interesting names for days of the week too, like the
Yes.
Kwames and the Kojos and the Aquas, Efwa, all of that. That's very interesting.
Right. So yeah, for like the Ghanaians, the little I know from the Twi and the Akan tribe is for Kofi. I think Kofi are male childs that are born
Yes.
on a Friday, and it's supposed to symbolize that he's adventurous, he's
Oh,
strong,
wow.
and all of that. And Ama, I think for the male child as well for Saturday, while Mensa is the third born child. Now for me, I'm a little bit, I'm trying to scratch my head around about the days of the week, because are we saying in ancient Ghana before the white man came, did they have the Mondays, Fridays, Tuesdays and all of that, or this came at after the colonial masters came to be?
Interesting.
we
That's
had
something
a-
to look into.
Yeah, I think we definitely had our own ways of marking.
Yes,
these
even if
things.
it was not
Yes.
Because even in Igbo culture, you have the Ike market day.
Yes, you have your
different,
four
Yes.
I can't
market
remember.
days.
I know that Okolie is also a
There's-
type of
yes,
market day.
there's-
They had their own names. Okole,
Yes,
Ike. But this
exactly.
is for the Ghanaian, the Twi and the Akan, it's Friday, it's Saturday. I think the name for Saturday is Ama. And Mensa, yes, it makes a whole lot of sense. The
Yes.
third born child.
Yes.
But for the days of the week, I'm a little bit. I'm taken aback to see if this was because of the colonial masters after they came to Ghana
Interesting.
and it became a thing and not really that ancient. Because
So
there shouldn't be a
it
Monday
wasn't even
in ancient.
just the weeks. It was also the order of birth. Like you said, Mensa being third
the
born.
third
So all the
born.
borns were also there. So your order of birth will be your middle name.
be your middle
so
name.
you could be Kofi
I
Mensa.
see.
So the Kofi will be the day you were born, and then the order of your birth will be the middle name.
Interesting.
So I think
it's
that
really interesting.
predates
I think it's also interesting to
colonialism,
know
Quick
that.
one here. If you're watching this and you're from Ghana, please
Please.
comment in the comment
Yes,
section.
Help
let
us,
us
What are
educate
the
us.
educate us? What are the days of the week and how did the namings go? Tell us in the comment section your tribe and how naming works in your side of the world.
Coming back to Nigeria, these days you see so many people shying away from traditional names because they feel it's uncool. You see, now we have so many names like Jason, Jaden,
Zion,
That one.
Sophia.
Sophia.
and
And they're
and another
cute.
thing, on another thing again, they now slowly tend towards Hebrew names. Trying to grab from that Christianity pool to
Not
say,
gonna
okay,
lie,
look,
I'll
let
be
me
guilty
let me
there.
do let me pick. But we're not Hebrews. We're not from that part of the world.
Amal is actually Hebrew.
true.
you can't stop the evolution of culture. It's part of human life. So until you're dead, before culture will stop evolving. And
True.
because people are Christian now, so you
I'm
can't.
waiting for a German to name his son Ade Farasi.
When we
Then we
got-
know
some
that
people
People
culture
have
is
actually
evolving.
started. Some people
Yeah,
have
when we
actually started
colonize them, then
naming
maybe
their
that will
kids
happen.
names outside of their tribes. Personally, for me, I think it depends on what the name
Means,
and how it
exactly.
sounds. Like for example, I love the name Khalil. It
Khalil.
means
That's-
friend.
That's Arabic.
Yeah.
It's a very lovely name. Then there are other names. I'm definitely going to name my child Husky. That's,
Light.
Husky lights,
Yeah.
yes.
and where was I going with this? I really feel like it just depends on what the name sounds like. There are people that are naming their kids Tiara now. It's a Yoruba
Tiara
name.
Olua.
Tiara Oluwanimi. I'm a
Yes,
part
my
of
friend
God's
has a
body.
baby like
That's
that
my
too.
niece's name. Her name is Tiara Oluwanimi. But there are non-Nigerians, non-Yoruba people who are naming their kids those things. So, I think if you like the way the name sounds and you are aware of what it means and the power that it carries,
True.
feel free to name your child.
Yeah, so yes, the only bad thing is when you don't check
Yes.
for the
For the
meaning.
meaning, yeah.
And you don't
Yes.
acknowledge its origin.
Exactly. So even if it's not from your culture, at the very least, check the meaning of that name so that when your child grows up and asks you, why did you name me this?
be able
What
to-
does it mean? You can answer the question.
Yeah. I also wanted to say that talking about names of the week and birthing children based on the day that they are born, even in the north, that happens because you
It
have
does.
children that their names are Asebe. And when someone hears that your name is Asebe, it means you were born on Saturday. We have Ladi. We have Jumei.
Jummai Friday.
Jummai is Friday.
But you
Yes.
know, those are still Arabic.
Arabic.
They are
Not
still Arabic.
indigenous
So
to
they are
the local
but the
Nigerian
indigenous
culture.
ones are, for example, Gumbo.
Gumbo, yes.
Gumbo born after twins.
There's
Or
one.
Kande.
There's one.
The-
Auta.
the-
Oh, we have that.
Yes,
That's
Kande.
Gambo is Idowu
Yeah,
in
so
Yoruba.
We also have Auta.
Kande is born before twins, so the older sibling of twins. Then Gambo is the younger sibling of
see.
twins. Then Auta, of course,
Auta,
last born.
last born, yes.
Then Babangida is like the firstborn, father of the house,
Father
first
of the
boy.
house,
Like
yes.
how Igbo people have Okpara. Yes, the first.
Oh,
Yes.
Aquarium means first.
Yes,
I
first
didn't
boy.
know. Interesting.
I didn't even
Father of the-
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, in other words, it means that every African household or every African culture, when it comes to naming, there has to be a story to it.
True.
Maybe the position of your birth, maybe the circumstances that surrounds your birth, maybe the history, reincarnation, and all of that. So it's not just giving for the sound sake of it. It's giving
Yes.
for a reason.
Well, yeah.
And
That's
then
true. So a lot-
identity. We need to ask ourselves how the evolution of African names affect our identity as Africans right now. You know, some of us. So for me now, I have never really felt like a Ruby Nyakuru because I didn't use it as my name. It was just my middle name. It was my side name, so to speak. So Linda, I've always felt like a Linda. Even when I tried to use Ruby.
Yeah, you didn't feel slippery. Well, I actually heard that the name Linda has a lot of meaning.
Exactly. So even when Mr. G was saying it, in my mind I was like, you know what? I've had my fair share of the drama behind my name and all of that, and I'm kind of over it now. So I've embraced the one I like.
The
and
meaning
the one
you
that
like.
resonates with me.
See,
So
we
like
all
in
love a
German-
scandal. So who cares
Yes,
if it means
in
snake?
German, that's what it means, like the serpent, the snake. But in Spanish, it means something beautiful. Even when you go to comment sections and people are speaking Spanish and they are hailing something they like,
Yeah.
you see them writing Linda.
Oh.
Linda. So I'll be like, yeah,
That's the meaning I
Lindas.
choose.
something beautiful.
Okay.
So yeah, names shape our identity, and even as Africans right now, our identities are constantly changing. Do you feel more Sarah or more Adiola? Do you feel more Godwin or more Osho?
For me, I think in my case is a unique case because my tribal name Ojovayo means God wins.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, not necessarily the same thing because Godwin is a German name and it means God's friend. So, by just literal translation and by saying Godwin together,
Yeah.
it's literally almost the same thing as my tribal name. So I feel God wins everywhere in my life because
True,
trust
true.
me,
Oh, nice.
this brother man has been through a lot and God has been winning
I'm
for me
happy
all
for
through.
you, brother man.
So I think it holds true to the fact that what you give yourself, the name you name your children, speaks forth for them. Yes, we could have an argument and say, hey, what about an unsuccessful success? But hey, whether we like it or not, the power of the mouth, the tongue, speaks volumes.
True.
It breaks
And they've
rocks.
already done their part.
They've
by
already
naming
done,
it like
you know.
that.
Yes.
So I think that's the way the Africans see it. And I think for me, I own that identity to say, hey, everywhere I go, everything I do, God wins in my life. So yes, so I feel like my tribal name and I feel like the quote-unquote European name that I also bear.
For me,
Adiola?
I joined my own. No, I
You
joined it together. Most people actually think that my complete name is Amambeta. They don't know that there are two different names. So it's because of the way I'm always writing it together. Like you cannot see Ama without seeing Beta. So even when I got to like the university, when someone is writing my name for something, like, oh, is it? In fact, there was one time I started line. I was like, yes, that's how the name is. So honestly, I feel like an Ama. Ama means hope, although it's Hebrew. It's Hebrew, originally Arabic, but it means hope. And of course, Mbeta means someone that is warm and accommodating. So yeah, I feel like my name.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I think for me, I've always, like, wherever, just like Amal, I always write my name together, Sarah Adeola Johnson.
Okay.
So I use all, and it's just, I think it's just, it depends on the circle. Most people that know me from when I was a child call me Adeola or family members, and then most people that know me professionally call me Sarah.
Okay.
Oh, nice. So you feel like a Sarah and
Yeah, I
Adiola.
feel like equal parts of, the two of them.
So basically, even though we understand that culture is constantly evolving, we can't stop it. Parents have the right to name their child whatever they want to. We're just advocating for naming meaningful names.
Yes.
So even if you're taking names from other cultures,
Yeah.
still give something meaningful,
Something
something that will speak
meaningful.
life and truth and success and dominion and power
True.
and all of that into your child's life.
True.
That's all we're advocating for. Just like our African ancestors knew it would work. Let's keep it. If something works, no need to invent the wheel. It has already been done. Let's keep
Absolutely.
it. Speaking prophecies and good things
Speaking
brings
life
them
over
forth
them.
into life. So
Yes.
why don't we carry on with that?
Absolutely.
And we're also advocating, please don't drop the African names. Keep them.
Yes.
Pick that tribal name. It has a story to tell. And at the same time, it's also speaking life into that child's life. All right, so if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow us
Like,
Share.
Subscribe.
on all our platforms at Forgecast.
Until next time. Bye.